Same with me. Right.
After a quick glance in his vehicle, authorities can see Gretchen didn't tag along, so they're hopeful David can at least help shed light on her whereabouts. Unfortunately, David can't offer any more details than her family, but he does leave officers with one last thing. In light of her disappearance, something Gretchen mentioned in their last conversation is now leaving him feeling very unsettled.
Because when we talked, she mentioned, like, I don't know how much I can share without, like, you know what I mean? Like, she mentioned being in trouble.
Like David, Gretchen's friends and family have a gnawing suspicion that something may not be right, something that goes beyond just her health. Lately, her texts seem strange, with a shift in her communication patterns. Gretchen also sent her daughter Ava messages about limiting her cell phone use. Others received texts that she was in and out of consciousness, and doctors were considering a medically induced coma after she experienced lung failure. And yet, even when she said she required a ventilator to breathe, she was still able to send texts. Were these strange messages coming from someone else? Were the messages intentional red herrings from Gretchen herself? Only time would tell. It wasn't long before her ex-husband Jeff stopped buying the story altogether.
I found out from a dear friend who's a physician that firstly, they don't ship anybody off-site,
right.
Or transport anybody off-site.
Right.
There is no CDC or coronavirus test facility, and any patients that are presenting signs of coronavirus are treated at the hospital. That seemed awfully fishy to me. You know, smelling rats left and right.
But it was no secret that Gretchen has been under tremendous pressure lately. Between the divorce with David and other personal issues, it seemed possible that Gretchen just snapped. This prompts police to extend their search to both Gretchen and David's property. Unfortunately for David, after speaking with the detective, the New Mexico authorities execute a search warrant for David's truck and phone. Because he answered all of their questions and there's no evidence that he has any idea where Gretchen might be, the authorities let him go. However, he's now on foot without access to his vehicle, which has been taken into custody, leaving him stranded in the streets of Las Cruces, New Mexico with his husky, Kobe. With David released, authorities continue looking for Gretchen. As there was no over with David, they turn back to Florida. There they gain access to her home to perform a welfare check. But as soon as they get to the garage, what they find, which will soon be revealed, suggests something darker may be at play. In the meantime, they obtain a search warrant, moving carefully from room to room as they comb for clues in this strange case. Right off the bat, a few things stand out as potentially strange. They find a fallen picture frame in Gretchen's upstairs hallway and shattered glass in her bedroom. But some of the most valuable evidence authorities would find, evidence that would spell out Gretchen's recent activity, wasn't physical at all. Instead, it was waiting for them in her cloud storage. By now, it's clear that Gretchen has turned off her phone location completely. Although she was an active user of the Life 360 location app, she was no longer available to her contacts, including her daughter. Looking for answers, police turned to her neighbors and began knocking on doors. What they found out only increased their suspicions.
Noticed that there was stain in the driveway.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Okay.
When Gretchen's sister spoke with another neighbor, she immediately relayed what she learned to the police, something that might explain the unusual stain in Gretchen's driveway.
That lives behind Gretchen. Her name is Christy. And I guess she smelled the strong smell of bleach. Left the house.
Though he'd been released in Las Cruces, a Florida detective catches up with David over the phone. He drops a shocking new revelation, explaining that all the inconsistencies in this case are not what they seem. And in addition to her ongoing struggle with COVID, Gretchen was dealing with something far more sinister.
I spoke with Gretchen today.
You spoke with Gretchen today?
She prepared a statement to give to you.
Okay.
Gretchen is receiving treatment for the COVID virus. Before she contacted the virus, she uncovered illegal federal tax fraud. She's in communication with OSHA and the Office of Special Counsel as she prepares a whistleblower case. Gretchen's terrified for her life. Someone was sent to her house to hurt her the other weekend.
According to David, Gretchen has never actually been missing. Instead, she's been in hiding, and she's not convinced that everyone in her life is safe. With David still on foot in New Mexico, authorities hope he hasn't gotten far. After 3 days, they catch a lucky break. He's spotted outside a local gas station in Las Cruces. This time, the circumstances surrounding his questioning are very different. The same Florida detective David spoke with on the phone arrives in New Mexico to speak with him directly and to deliver shocking news.
You are under arrest. There's a warrant for your arrest, and I'm gonna explain when we get back to the. Excuse me? What? Homicide. For who? What do you think?
Once in custody, authorities explain the situation, but David doesn't stray from what he told the detective over the phone.
We have obtained enough evidence to obtain a warrant for your arrest for murder. Okay? I want you to understand that. She's involved. I want you to understand that. And what's most important to us right now is to find out where she is. Yeah, I'd like to tell you where she is. But I don't have information.
Detectives don't want to reveal all their cards just yet, but they're about to share a disturbing story that they stumbled upon by pure chance.
And we gathered a lot of information that I'm sure you're not aware of. There was a neighbor that heard the entire incident on Saturday morning at 6:30 who lives across the way. I want you to think about that real quick. What incident? The incident that occurred at Gretchen's home. You have to give me more information.
In a stroke of luck, police uncovered a shocking piece of evidence as they canvassed Gretchen's neighborhood. A woman approached them, unprompted, with a chilling recollection.
Because on Saturday morning, I guess it was Saturday because of the pictures, but I heard, I was asleep upstairs in my room, and I heard a really serious woman scream, like just screaming, like she was being attacked. And then I heard her scream, "No!" And then I heard something about it hurts, stop it.
As the witness walks the officer around the back alley to point out where these screams came from, she adds one more chilling detail.
The screaming it went on for a few minutes. It wasn't, that's why I thought maybe it was kids, but there wasn't nobody was yelling help. Like, nobody yelled help, which is why I didn't call the police.
And as police would later learn, this split-second decision may have changed everything. Back with David, investigators begin attempting to unravel the disturbing story.
There is a neighbor who observed her driveway covered in a bleach or cleaning product, drenched coming out of the driveway, coming down the driveway and out of the garage. What does that have to do with me? You don't know anything about that? So I'm asking. Okay.
According to a reported tip called in by another neighbor, all of these strange pieces of evidence may be adding up to an alarming truth. On the call, the man explains to an officer that the security camera picked up something strange in the neighborhood around 4:45 a.m. last Saturday, the day that Gretchen supposedly went missing.
I know I was, told look for a black pickup truck. And there was one that kind of came by and early in the morning. Looked like he was trying to hitch up to the boat trailer, but then it just took off.
And this wasn't the only sighting of a black pickup in Gretchen's neighborhood on the morning she seemed to vanish. The woman who heard screaming noises near Gretchen's home also noticed a pickup truck parked outside her house, and she took photos. The truck appeared to be David's, which meant that he may actually be one of the last people to see Gretchen before her disappearance. While this doesn't prove anything, it certainly raises red flags. But when the detectives confront David with this possibility, he drops hints that something far more sinister is at play.
Were you at Gretchen's residence last Saturday? It's 6:30 in the morning.
She told me they stole my vehicle, so I did.
I'm asking you to be truthful with us.
Instead, David leaves detectives with a strange comment to untangle.
This is like dealing with deep pockets. You know, there's a lot more to this than just, you know,
Deep pockets.
I love him.
Okay.
And of course, that's got me in this position now, but I'll, you know, protect him.
At this very moment, police aren't buying David's story. They know much more than they're letting on. And in due time, they'll reveal it to David. They're hopeful that when they finally reveal the shocking evidence they've been collecting behind the scenes, evidence straight from Gretchen's mouth, that the truth will finally come out. For now, David's story takes a drastic turn.
You know, she likes drugs. You know, at one point, she mentioned she's like seen 22 guys. You know, she's got notes. You have the safe in the car, right? You got that? You got that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So, and you know, if you have her phone and unlock her phone, you'll see. You know.
So why do you have the phone?
Before authorities tracked David down, they tried to find Gretchen's phone. And as long as it stayed on, their efforts worked. On a recorded call, the police discussed their findings, and it doesn't take long before the reality of this situation begins to sink in. Nothing they've been told so far can be taken as fact.
I pinged her phone, and it's showing in Gulf Breeze, Florida, as of 12:15 p.m. today, and that's probably when she shut off her phone.
Where?
Gulf Breeze, Florida. It's by Pensacola.
Really?
Instead of turning up at a local hospital where Gretchen was allegedly seeking help, her phone pinged at a location over 8 hours away. In the interrogation room, David stumbles to provide an explanation.
I had her phone. Well, she had her phone. So she was traveling with me up until El Paso. We were driving the vehicle, so she folded.
What car was she driving?
I'm not, like I said, I'm going to protect her and her whereabouts because everyone can be bought. And as much as I know you guys are doing a job, I don't know. I've seen the other end of manipulation of information to skew and or to try to shape an objective. So.
Yet when Gretchen's family went to the local hospital looking for her, they noticed something that made the cell phone evidence of her whereabouts even more unusual. Her car was parked outside the hospital, and her purse was still inside it. Detectives also discovered footage of David attempting to pawn what appeared to be Gretchen's jewelry at a shop in Pensacola, Florida.
So going back to Saturday morning, were you at her home Saturday morning?
You said you saw my vehicle there, so.
Oh, I'm asking you.
I understand what you're asking, but you like I said, shaping a narrative. So.
Okay.
So what happened after you got her car?
You saw my vehicle there, so. It's between me and her. You know, I'm husband and wife, so that, right.
Even if David isn't talking, others are. While he uses his marriage as a strange excuse to shut